Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, we're reviewing a modified Toyota Tacoma SR5, and this is, in a way, kind of like a more affordable TRD Pro. Before we get into this video, I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to the Brent Brown Toyota here in Orem for giving me some time with this Tacoma. I'll include a link to their website in the description down below. If you have any questions or need any help, just ask for Kyle. I'll also include a link to my car buying guide. Let's get into it. Now, since this is an SR5, it's powered by the base powertrain. It's a turbo 2.4 liter 4-cylinder that goes through an 8-speed automatic transmission. It puts out 278 horsepower and then 317 pound-feet of torque. Before we move forward with this review, I do want to mention, if you want to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. So I've done a few things to this truck to make it look really cool, if you ask me. So first off, you can see with the Tacoma's standard headlight design that's blacked out, so now the front badge also blacked out to match. You can see the grille is blacked out. And I mean, this truck is kind of like a midnight edition, is what you could say, right? Notice we've got fog lights here at the bottom, and then they've removed the gigantic air dam that you have with the SR5. So it has that aggressive approach angle that you have with the TRD Off-Road and the TRD Pro. And so when you look at this dead on, it has that cool, like, big, aggressive off-road truck appearance. Now around the side here, our tire wheel setup is 275 by 65 by 18 in the front and over in the rear. And you can see we've got the TRD style wheels. I think this design actually looks really cool. Look at that. It's kind of like filled into the center, and then you've got little spokes off to the sides. And yeah, these are solid all-terrain tires. Not like the biggest chunks there on the top with the tread pattern, but still solid. Now it looks like this has a level kit, if I'm not mistaken. Doesn't look lifted. And then even the SR5 has painted fender flares. You can see the Tacoma badge blacked out. And then I'll quickly show you guys the rear. Now one thing that's obviously going to be a big difference is the shocks with this compared to a TRD Off-Road or Pro. The Off-Road has Bilstein, the Pro has Fox. This just has the standard shocks. But if we take a few steps back, the stance is what makes this look very similar to what you're going to get with like a Pro or an Off-Road. It's got that like super tall stance, and it's pretty level. I mean, this is not a level area where we're at. It's kind of slanted a little bit, but the truck itself is pretty level front to rear. Almost got to mention there's another SR5 badge there. It's blacked out. And you can see you've got Tacoma stamped into the tailgate, and then the 4x4 badge blacked out as well. The only thing that's not blacked out in this truck is the exhaust tip. Still just has the silver finish. Now, I'll take a few steps back so you guys can see the 3/4 angle. I mean, it's a good looking truck. And then quickly popping inside, this is an SR5, so it's gonna have like the entry-level interior. This is still soft touch. It's got blind spot monitoring. Payload capacity, 1,200 pounds. You do have cloth seats with this. They're actually really comfortable though. Got your adjustments there with that. And then this does have some nice tech with it. This is just for the center, but we do have adaptive cruise control, lane keep assist, all of that. And then when it comes to off-roading, we do have a 2-speed transfer case. This does not have multi-terrain select or crawl control or anything like that, but I mean, you still have 4-wheel drive. Now, no rear locking differential. That would be in this button section for those of you that are wondering. So just a good old-fashioned 4x4 pickup truck, basically. So here's our window sticker on this SR5. You guys can see the standard equipment right there. Options, this one has the cold weather upgrade, which, you know, if you live here in Utah, that's a good thing to get, having the heated seats and everything. But there's your total MSRP before the options, $46,144. So the Brent Brown Toyota, they don't charge like an obscene amount of money for the upgrades. So it's just over $3,000. Double check their website for the exact pricing on the accessory. I think it's like $3,600. I might be off by a little bit, but I mean, you're basically paying cost to get the level kit plus the tires plus the wheels and all of that. So I mean, in total, about a little bit less than $50,000 for this. So that's what, $15,000, $16,000 less than a TRD Pro, and you're a little bit less than a TRD Off-Road with a little bit more ride height, a little bit more aggressive stance. Anyways, let's drive it. We'll talk about it. Well, let's talk about visibility before we set off. There's visibility of the hood, both the mirrors. Throughout the rest of the rear. And so is this, oh cool, it's power for the rear window. That's nice. Let's set off in the, what do we call this? The poor man's TRD Pro. But I don't think that's a bad thing. By the way, is that a Woodland? Yeah, those are cool. Anyways, in a lifted Tacoma, looking over at a RAV4 with some fancy wheels, and I'm like, ooh, that's the good looking one. Sorry, let me adjust this a little bit. But yeah, poor man's TRD Pro. I already know the comments. This is nothing like the TRD Pro, right? The suspension, the shocks, it's not there. And yeah, I agree with you. When it comes to some off-road tech, you know, this doesn't have multi-train select, doesn't have crawl control, doesn't have a rear locking differential, does not have Fox shocks, does not have the TRD tuned suspension. So yeah, this isn't going to be as hardcore off-road as a TRD Pro. But I don't know if you guys know this, most people that buy off-road vehicles never see dirt. They buy said off-road vehicle because they want to look cool, they want to flex on the world. And guess what? This looks just as good, if not better, than a TRD Pro. And I actually think that kind of looks better for a couple of reasons. So first off, the TRD Pro has that hood scoop thing, and you know, I think it's kind of cool looking, but I like this. This is clean with the design on that front. And then the fender flares on the base Tacoma are paint match. So it has this uniform look, whereas in the TRD Pro, at least the ones I've seen, they've all been gloss black, and then you have the body painted section and the rest of the truck. So I don't know, for me, this is really weird. I know a lot of people aren't going to agree with me. I think the Tacoma looks best if it's either all paint match or if the fender flares are unpainted like on a TRD off-road. Gloss black fender flares, I've never been a fan of that on any vehicle, and so that's just my take on that. I think it looks better. And so we decided the looks are there. When it comes to the drive, I think the drive is also there in a lot of ways. Now, this isn't going to be quite as comfortable, quite as squishy as the TRD Pro because, again, you're on, you know, the entry-level shocks and suspension, but it doesn't ride bad. It's actually pretty dang comfortable. You know, when you go over big bumps, I wouldn't call it crashy, but you know, you feel it with this. And you know, it doesn't have the hybrid, but this still has, here, I'll let this Hyundai get a little bit more in front. Sure, yeah, nobody's behind me. It still has good power. It's still got good torque. Still moves well. And because this is a less complex powertrain, well, that's less stuff you have to worry about braking down the road, right? Because the hybrid is just this powertrain with some hybrid stuff added to it, so a little bit more complexity. But the point I'm trying to make is this drives well. This is a truck that drives well. So when you do the TRD Pro comparison, again, off-road it doesn't compare, but when it comes to looks, I think it looks better in some ways, and it saves you so much money. I mean, think about what you could do, because TRD Pro starts at 65 plus destination, I think, plus destination, somewhere around there. And then if you had any options, so you know, the TRD Pros are probably going to be somewhere around 60, what, 66, 67,000, $17,000. That's a nice vacation to Hawaii, a very nice vacation, or maybe not anymore with inflation. Maybe we got to downgrade to California. That's a nice vacation to California instead of Hawaii. But it's a lot of money. Now, I could see people making the comparison to the TRD off-road. So why would you get this over the TRD off-road? I think a few things. Pretty sure these tires are bigger than the TRD off-roads, if I remember right. So you do have that, the tire advantage. This sits higher than a TRD off-road, you know, with the suspension, so it's a little bit taller, so a little bit more road presence. Easier to get. TRD off-roads, I mean, you can get them, but they sell pretty dang quick. So availability, if you wanted a truck right away, you do have that part of it. And then with the TRD off-road, if you don't take the TRD off-road, you're paying for stuff that you're not going to use. I.e., you know, the Bilstein shocks, which I always, you know, even on-road Bilstein shocks are nice, but Bilstein shocks, the crawl control, the multi-terrain select, rear locking differential. If you're not going to take the truck off-road, you're never going to use those features. So it's like you're paying for stuff that you're just not going to use. Whereas with this, you're only paying, like, I don't see I'm trying to think, but I don't see a single feature on this that I wouldn't use. Again, I could imagine you not getting the cold weather package if you live in, I don't know, Florida, for example, where it's always warm and sunny. But, you know, here we get cold, ice cold winters, so it makes sense. And so everything on this truck is practical, it's usable. So that's this modified Tacoma SR5. Let me guys think about this, but I think that for a lot of people, this makes more sense than a TRD off-road and a TRD Pro, just based on what most people are gonna actually use the truck for, which is mall crawling. I don't have a problem with that, but I think that people should get the right tool for the job, so to speak.